abide. And if we consider that the Word as Mashiach is the Son over the house, which we are part of, then we have to understand that we were created to be joined together as a family, abiding in the house of Yahweh, and through Mashiach, the anointing of Yahweh, we would be able to and are able to endure and stand strong. If we understand that, then we can go to Philippians and understand what Rav Shaul, what Paul is talking about when he says, I can do all things through Mashiach that strengthens me. We are surrounded by the anointing of Yahweh. The indwelling of Yahweh is within us. And what this does for us, I've got all this stuff up here, but we have a handy-dandy picture of us. What does this mean? That Elohim, well, is everything. But what happens is that this Mashiach surrounds us so that the Ruach can come to us, and that through Mashiach we can communicate to Elohim. We are surrounded and infilled with Mashiach, the anointing of Yahweh. We'll get to the idea of a Messiah at another time, but Mashiach as a word means the anointing of Yahweh surrounds us and allows us to hear from Elohim, so that when we get into a pickle and are having tribulation and trial that hasn't come in some end-time scenario, that we can call on Elohim, and through Yahshua, no, Mashiach, through Yahshua, actually it's more like V'Mashiach and Mashiach, we can receive his redemption, but deliverance from whatever it is that is tribulating and trialing us. Those are new words. And that we can stand strong and endure till the end. So there's an idea that we abide within this house. Now, there's the phrase, the heavens and of the earth when they were created. This is an interesting word, when they were created. Vahi baram, vahi baram. If you look in your Torah at chapter 2, verse 4, you'll find vahi baram. It's not hard to find this word because something is kind of odd about this word. The hay is smaller than the rest of the word. Why is that? If you write a letter that's smaller than the rest of them, or if you write a letter that's bigger than the rest of them, you have to tear the Torah page out and start all over. This is what the rules tell us. All of them have to be the same size. This world, or this word means created. The small hay in the word represents the breath of Yahweh Elohim, his very spiritual essence bringing forth creation of the heavens and the earth. We say that he spoke by his word, but creation also came forth by his spirit. He spoke by his word, but something very special is happening right now, that his spirit is also being involved in this process of creation. Okay? We consider the balance of the verse that says, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made earth and heaven. The word for day is vayom, that although yom means a day, it refers to a division of time as well as a lifetime itself. Now a lifetime, we say we have a lifetime. It has a beginning and it has an end. Elohim is infinite, no beginning, no end. He's Ein Sof. He's above any boundaries, so there's nothing that contains Elohim, not even time. But this union was set to be, or this union was to be set outside of time because of sin. We have to have time in order for sin to be redeemed. We have to have time for deliverance, and we have time for restoration. Why do we have to have this period of beginning and end? Because if we do poof, avara kadavara, by my word I have done it, by my word I've created it, then redemption means nothing. There's no teshuvah. There's no feeling of learning from my mistake. I'm simply redeemed. We have rich kids today that go through and they make all kinds of mistakes, and mommy and daddy just simply pay to get them out of jail and pay to get them out of trouble, and they never learn from it. And as a result, they grow up into a miserable life where money buys everything, but they've never learned how to love their neighbor as themselves. Okay? Why do we need time? He created time specifically for us to be able to learn from our mistakes. This is after the transgression. We ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We have that in us now. Now we have to step into time to be able to learn from transgression. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody with me so far? All right. So if we can understand this, then we can understand the balance of the phrase that seems to reverse the order of everything that we have considered. It says, Yahweh Elohim made earth and heavens. So now let's look at verse 2, or chapter 2, verse 7 in a little bit more detail. When Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground, there's the physical, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Then man, the Adam, humankind, all of us, no chauvinism here, it was male and female, became a living soul, a living being. So why does verse 2 end, or no, I guess it's verse 4, I'm sorry, it should say verse 4, end with the reversal of earth and heavens? Because it's referring to the creation of the Adam, who was first to be a physical vessel. It says, then Yahweh Elohim formed man out of the dust of the ground. Okay? He was to be a physical vessel to contain Nishamat Chayim, the very spirit of Yahweh Elohim, that says, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, the Nishmat Chayim. It is in this way that the Adam and those who descended from the Adam, and we said we've all descended from Adam because Noah was a descendant of Adam, and the boys and their wives, and they were the only ones that survived the flood. So the only ones that survived the flood were descendants of Adam. So we are all descendants of Adam that came from this beginning. We all come from a beginning in which Elohim physically formed and breathed into. So you and I could be lenefesh chaya, that we could all become a living soul. In other words, a physical being, a vessel to contain the spiritual energies of Yahweh Elohim. If we consider that we are a vessel that contains the things of Yahweh Elohim, that we contain the spirit of Elohim within us, then we understand why in Vayikra, when it says any vessel that was to be used, if something unclean came into the vessel, it had to be broken and replaced, especially if it was in the service of the temple. You can't use something unclean in the service of Elohim. And if we are going to love our neighbor as ourselves, then we must be filled with the spirit of Elohim. Sometimes we really have to be filled because it's hard to love some people. Here we go. Let's be honest with each other. But we have to be a clean vessel in order to hold that. So it goes back to having to go to the house of the potter to find restoration on a regular basis. We make teshuvah. We thus become, and we are Yechavad. That means we are joined together as one family with the realm of Yahweh Elohim. It is only through Yahshua that this is possible. And we read in Yochanan, it's John 1:12-13, that says, "But as many as received him, to them he gave the authority to become the children of Elohim, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of Elohim." What are we born of? We might have been created by flesh, but that's irrelevant because it says that we are created of a spiritual nature. What we hold inside of us is a spiritual nature that allows us to animate these things, these earth suits, as they've been called, these physical things. We are physical beings, yet we are spiritual beings. And it's the spiritual part of us that connects to Elohim through Yahshua and through his Torah. That through Yahshua Mashiach, we are redeemed, delivered from sin and the death, the consequences of that sin, and restored to a clean vessel so that we can once again receive the anointing of Yahweh that connects us to him to be able to receive from the Ruach in our day-to-day lives. So we can understand that Yahweh Elohim has provided from the beginning his truth in both his word and his Torah, so that we could worship in truth. And we have also discovered that we are truly spiritual beings that can worship in spirit if we are able to receive and believe his word and his truth. It is only through Yahshua as the vehicle of sacrifice that has restored the covenant between Yahweh and humankind that we can once again be covered by the right hand of Yahweh Elohim. Who is the right hand? It's Yahshua's. And it said what in that verse? In Isaiah. Yes, my hand has laid the foundation of the earth. He's made us. The physical part of us is going to go south. It's going to transgress. But what happens? The right hand has spread out the heavens that it covers us. Huh?
Isaiah, what is that?
It's 46:13. My right hand has spread out the heavens. That this redemption, this deliverance, this restoration covers us. And Mashiach surrounds us. And that when Elohim calls, we can hear him and we stand up together. We stand up with the realm of Elohim. That the realm of Elohim, the heavens, and the earth, through the Aleph and the Tav that became flesh, are once again reattached. And this doesn't have to happen in an end time scenario. This happens in our lifetime today. If we believe and receive that we become, again, Yachadav, that we are joined together as one family with the realm of Yahweh Elohim. And this is the balance of our verse in Bereshis. Hashemayim ve'et haaretz, that the heavens are attached to the earth. And almost painless.
Oh.
Any questions? Okay now?
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
It is.
We're,
It is. You know, I was telling him the other day, I said, you know, we rolled it back and we're beginning all over again. And I told him, I said, and you're going to do the same portion that you did last year. And he's like, but it's different.
I wasn't here last time, but man.
But it's, I mean,
This
but
is
it is
great.
different.
But,
It's in a totally different way, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
It's
she
just
says,
amazing
we're just
how
going to do the same
many-
parashas all throughout the year. I said, well, we've been doing one verse out of the parashah a year. We just go to a different verse, saying this is the same verse that we did last year. But even
But I see
a
now.
verse,
I
even a
see.
single word,
Yeah.
has so much meaning that, well, this is why even in our lifetime, we wouldn't have enough time to study all the Torah. I get a kick out of when I hear the words, he's a Torah master. And my grandmother's the Pope. You know, it's because what is a Torah master? And I think this is why, one of the reasons Joshua said, don't let anybody call you rabbi. So he's not a teacher, but he's saying don't let anybody call you a great one.
Yeah.
Because nobody is going to master the Torah. That's why in the world to come we have eternity to learn.
I heard a rabbi speaking one time that had been studying for 70 years. It was
Mhm.
like his 70th year. And they said, have you ever become bored? And he said, oh no,
Oh, I was
every
thinking
year
ever.
brings forth more.
Mhm.
Every time
I
it
don't
brings
see
forth
how.
more.
Well, I was talking to Chester. I got all giddy yesterday because in this first verse of Torah, everybody says, well, you have a hang up at the first verse of Torah.
I'll tell you that.
Everything depends on it. But I discovered that in what I was looking at is that this actually has 4 crownets on it, and that there are 3 crownets over here, and that there's a grand total of 7 crownets. But what got me was that there's 4 crownets on this word over the house, and that there are 6 alephs. And if we say that aleph is the root of aluf, this is 6 or times 1,000. Aluf is 1,000, so it gives us 6,000. And I just got all
My
giddy about
goodness.
it because there are 4 beginnings of 6,000. What does that mean? And it's stuff like this. It's like,
Oh, I know.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. But you will never ever reach the bottom. We could study this word until we were old and gray and never understand Bereshit. This kind of just it means in the beginning. It actually says when began. So what we should actually be reading is when Elohim began to create, not in the beginning. So there was, when he began to create the heavens and the earth. This tells us, okay, well, what was there before?
Yes.
So it's just, we'll never find the bottom until we get to sit there
And let him tell us.
and learn
We'll ask now.
in eternity.
We'll ask, yes.
And I hope I have a high-powered computer that can hold it all.
Yeah.
We've achieved rootiness.
Yeah.